The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and YouTube, and syndicated by CRN Digital Talk Radio to cable networks serving an additional 12 million households. I'm your host, Gary Baumgarten. Well, this edition of News Talk Online is one where we're going to talk about a very serious situation. It has received limited coverage in the mainstream news media, but to my mind, certainly not enough, and that is why I invited our next guest here on News Talk Online to give you an opportunity to talk to him directly about the situation. Jeff Seed is an official of the humanitarian organization CARE, that's C-A-R-E, not to be confused with the Muslim rights organization C-A-I-R. He's here to talk about gang rapes by militias and government soldiers in the Democratic Republic of Congo. According to the United Nations, 27,000 cases of sexual violence were reported in a single province of the DRC in 2005 and 2006. There have been stories about this horrific situation, but few solutions to the problems have been proffered. One has been suggested by 2 U.S. senators, and we will get to this. The Seed's organization CARE has done extensive research into the rampant gang rape problem in the DRC, and that is why he is here today to talk to us. Jeff Seed from CARE, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to join you.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you here. Please tell us how this situation got so out of hand in the DRC.
Well, that's a fairly complex response. We're talking about an issue that has multiple factors, resources, regional issues, political, ethnic, and what I would say is a loss of controls in terms of military, policing, etc., and a complete lack of a justice system.
And an inability, even if the government were willing to intervene, to do anything, given the fact that they can't even get basic humanitarian assistance to their own people.
Well, that's true. You're talking about a relatively newly elected government. The president, Joseph Kabila, was elected democratically a little more than 1 year ago. DRC, formerly Zaire, for some of your listeners who may be more familiar with that name, has absolutely little to no precedence of a government. Mobutu was the dictator in place for between 30 and 35 years, and there was not much learning on the issues of governing a country, in particular a country that happens to be the 3rd largest in Africa, representing as much as the entire U.S. east of the Mississippi. It's a huge area, and very little experience. And while the country has tremendous resource potential, minerals, etc., it has very little experience in managing those resources, taxation of those resources, and then general governance.
So set it up, please, Jeff Seed from CARE, for our listeners and our viewers here on News Talk Online on Paltalk.com, if you will. What is going on? What is the conflict behind which these militias and government soldiers are sheltered as they carry on these horrific attacks on women in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing I would just say is that there are a number of armed groups, including the National Army itself, And most unfortunately, all of these groups are committing horrible and heinous crimes. It's a complex issue in terms of how it got started. I mean, there's regional issues within what we call the Great Lakes. You have a group of individuals accused of genocide in Rwanda in '94 that sought refuge within the eastern Congo. You have other militia groups, Congolese, that have formed as a result of the '98 to 2003 war, of which I believe 5 or 6 African countries were party to. You have ethnic issues within the region itself, and you have, as I mentioned, a lack of a justice system, a lack of even general command and control over all of the military elements, and why such a heinous activity has happened, I'll be quite frank, it's beyond my own comprehension what is going on as we speak.
My guest is Jeff Seed. He is with the humanitarian organization CARE. They're in country, I believe, in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, providing humanitarian aid to people. And there have just been tens and tens of thousands of attacks, gang rapes of women by people on both sides of the conflict there, which makes it just an unbelievable situation. And the women have no place to go for assistance, because if it's not one side that's attacking them, it's the other side. And I imagine, Jeff Seed, that there's a great amount of frustration among the female population that they have no place to go. There are no individuals or organizations who are in country protecting them.
Well, the first thing to understand in terms of civilian protection, an organization such as CARE International can only intervene, shall we say, during periods when the conflict is not active. And that may be on from a day-to-day basis, as is the case here, because the conflict, it'll go on, and then it'll subside for a week or a month or something, or a couple of days, and then it'll pick back up. It's only during those periods of lack of active conflict that a humanitarian organization can access. We are not armed. We cannot stop, as it were, armed intervention. That's the role of the MONUC peacekeeping force. So first and foremost, organizations such as ourselves and others who are working in these areas, we can only access during periods when there are not gunfire, to be blunt, happening, etc. I mean, it will happen occasionally here and there, but we try and move about and have access. And a very difficult factor in this particular location and area is what we call humanitarian access, the ability of agencies such as CARE to gain access to these areas and provide some sort of what we call civilian protection, access to basic services for women who have been through such a horrible and traumatic experience, basic treatment if they have contracted